IVM.
All right, Sunitra, all right.
Yeah, till the end of this year, it's your responsibility to
All right. Wow.
We have a guest. We shall not be so ill-behaved today.
Oh my God.
Welcome, Sonika. Hi. Welcome to ABCD. Welcome to the Madhouse, where literally it's the epicenter of talking no filter. So yeah, I'm so glad we are here, and we'll obviously get to what you do and what Marching Sheep does in a bit. But firstly, what we want to do is we want to start off with what our first segment where we talk about news, anything newsy that we want to talk about, which sort of concerns the queer population, anything about queer rights and queer issues and stuff like that. So yeah, Farhad, do you have any events that you want to talk about? Do we want to talk about do we want to talk about Ayushmann Khurrana's
that's
amazing post?
And again, I have a polarizing opinion on it.
Go at it.
I don't know why we give these people importance to it. Why do we? I know what they do is problematic, but sometimes it's just like,
Why the massive outrage is my only question. I think there should be a healthy discussion about this. Is the same thing as the two bloggers, I'm forgetting, Siddharth Batra, for example, where
it's I'm not supposed to make that face, sorry.
It's the same thing where from very cushioned privilege, not even chairs, like plush,
a lot of people missed
armchairs.
But Siddharth Batra, I think around the beginning of the pandemic, did a video where he came out as straight. Did you see that video? That's the time only I knew that, oh my God, over time the gays are going to lap this guy's content up. But he's already started off on such problematic front. He came out because a lot of people would assume because he's so stylish, which is back in his question mark. But it was just like, I knew that was going to happen. But obviously a lot of people were like, oh, is he gay? Is he not gay? They were doing that.
There's always a conjecture when it comes to him because, again, the labels, because he's of a certain build and all of that.
Sure. I spoke in the last episode, Shawn Mendes. I'm not going to do that where, is he not? But he felt the need to come out with a video saying that, I'm straight.
I get what he was trying. So here's the thing. I get where he was coming from. Like, in his head, on paper, the idea might have seemed nice because people have done this before too. But
you answered my question. So coming to Ayushmann Khurrana, I get what these people are trying to do. I get the kind of performative bracket this falls under, this kind of, oh wow, look at my nail polish and shit. But sometimes I feel like the reaction we give them, we live in a world of an algorithm. I feel like it doesn't.
No, but it's important. Here's the thing. I think it's unfair to kind of say, let's not react. Why are we reacting?
I know. That's not the solution.
Without pointing out where something's possibly, gone astray. And the point where this is gone astray is exactly this whole idea of saying, don't take a struggle and make it a hashtag Instagram t-shirt caption. Like, don't make it a t-shirt. Don't make it merch. That's the issue. What's happening is struggles are becoming merch. And that is where I think that's where you're walking on very dangerous territory.
Which is why I was a little, if you notice when Shubh Mangal Zyada Saavdhan was coming out, you remember we had a conversation then. And of course, I get that, movies like this are important because they penetrate markets where people will see this. There is some sort of normalizing that happens. I get that, right? But it's very difficult for me to not look through this thin veil of, again, he's just doing this because he knows that's
here's my thing. But then you can't have anyone who's not queer playing a role. Then basically you're saying non-queer people are not allowed to play queer roles
then
ever.
I feel our reaction should be laser focused on how the reaction is to whitewashing, right? In Hollywood, where you get people to play Asians and all. I feel like somewhere even that is happening in the Ayushmann Khurrana thing, where Vani Kapoor is straight, whatever, cis straight woman and this and all. So I get that, but somewhere I feel like then it gets so diluted by then that we go into this, hey, just wearing nail polish is not. We all know that already. I'm saying
no. I see, again, this is such a privileged thing to say. We all know that, because no, we don't all know that.
Okay, we don't all know that. I feel like
very few people get it.
If this is a pie chart,
the issue is there are people, and especially when you're talking about non-binary people, non-binary individuals, people get beaten up because they come across a certain way. So when people who have the privilege of being non-binary but can pass as a certain gender and don't have to go through any of the ills that kind of come with it, and flaunt it as a fashion trend and a statement, that is the issue. The issue is not about, what you were saying. That's different.
I'm totally with you on this. I'm totally with you.
Yes, please.
Hi, Sonika. Hi.
No, please jump in. No need to raise your hands. Please jump in.
I'm just wondering, where do I jump in?
Please. Jump Jump right in.
You guys are great. You guys have...
Thanks.
No one's ever said that before.
I don't think I can match the humor quotient of the way you guys were addressing this. But, there are two parts to it. One is the way... this entire thing has been carried out. And the second part might be the intent.
Of course.
Right? I feel that at least there is somebody now talking about the issue. There is somebody talking about there are people who are lesbians and gays and bisexual and transgender.
I get that. Yeah.
People with red nail polish or men wearing red nail polish is not an issue. It should not be an issue. Why should somebody comment on it? Today I read an article where there was this father who took his son to a playground, and the son wanted to wear a dress. And when he went wearing that dress, there were two other girls who did not want to play with that boy. And the girl went and spoke to her father saying that, Dad, I don't want to play with that boy because he's wearing a dress. Mm-hmm. And the girl's father said, but you are wearing pants as well. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, the point is that media does play a role. Now, they might get the treatment wrong, but at least now there's conversation.
No, I get that there's a conversation, but it's important to also, there's always a subject line when it comes to the conversation. It's the equivalent of saying, okay, in 2022, you have a film where, let's say there's a woman who's a CEO and you say women's rights. That's just tone deaf. Are you freaking kidding me? In 2022, are you going to say that? Like, conflating something that should be a given and saying, okay, so we are striving for, this kind of stuff. That's where we are coming at, because the label that you're attaching.
Oh, are you going to put your hand up throughout?
The label and the issue that has come up is not, see, I am for people, I am for visibility as long as it's not going into a space where you're ridiculing the community.
Yeah.
Now what has happened is here. Yeah. What has happened is...
Just hold on for a second.
Yeah.
If you talk about that woman CEO, and you talk about like in that Mumbai Begums.
Bombay Begums, yeah. Pooja Bhatt.
Pooja Bhatt. In which the issue of menopause was pointed out.
See, those are issues that are not spoken about. That's what I'm saying. There are things that need to be spoken about. There are things that need to be visible. It's important that we stay on that. Here, what's happened is, there is a man who's been styled and stylized, and he's been put on a cover, and he's put this Instagram post out which says, "Ooh, non-binary." Sorry, that's not non-binary. It's like saying I put on a lash and say trans rights. That's stupid. Yeah. That is tone deaf, because the struggle, the experience of a particular community is being minimized and crystallized into purely nail polish.
Or stereotyped.
Which is what my point was, that, again, I follow all the pages, right? Yes, we exist, and this, and LGBT, all the pages, right? I felt like the problem was hyper focused on how can a man wearing nail polish cannot claim that he's non-binary, gender fluid. And I was like, just attack the actual problem. That is, why are we still lazy? Why are we still relying on cash cow actors to like do roles that they are not,
but then what's your solution if you say, when you're saying don't,
this is the same. You want.
But why are we relying on cash cow? Who's relying on them? Who's relying on them? No one's relying on them.
Vani Kapoor, get an actual.
But Vani Kapoor is not the conversation only over here.
But I'm saying that is. I thought that is the problem. The fact that
no, Vani Kapoor is not the conversation. The conversation is Ayushmann Khurrana wearing nail polish and saying, "Oh, non-binary." Like this is.
And what's the second half of that sentence? That this person who's playing an ally is part of a very problematic film. Isn't that what you read constantly? Why is the film problematic?
Yeah. Now,
why is the film problematic?
No, I get it. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that's what's the solution? What's the solution to this? Like the fact that there is zero knowledge about these things. People just don't know what non-binary is. People just don't know where trans rights come in, where trans include. Have you ever seen a trans woman being represented in Bollywood ever? Can you name a single trans actress? We can't. So I'm not saying that that's not the conversation we should be after, but there is a lot of education that is important. Now, I know that it gets flared up and it turns into this whole debate where everyone starts zeroing in on something that seems very minuscule at the end of the day, but that is the starting point. But the issue is, where I'm coming from is, I don't think we get to a point where we are saying, listen, that community needs to hear, and these are the points. This is where we are coming from. It just becomes, fuck you, tu matlab nikal yahan se, you are cancelled, we will not watch your films anymore. We go from 0 to 100 in a second now. Without finding...
So even I thought like, hey, get the movie, let's watch the movie and see how it is. Because see, if I see, what is that Akshay Kumar movie which nobody bothered to watch, but
Lakshmi, right? Lakshmi,
we know beforehand, and there's no way it might have. You know what I mean? But we know how that movie is going to be so wrong on so many levels.
But the person who actually played the transvestite, the actor, I'm forgetting his name, he got decent critical reviews for a sensitive portrayal. Akshay Kumar was a buffoon in the film, but his portrayal was a sensitive portrayal. It wasn't a comic portrayal. It was about a real flesh and blood human being. Are there actors who are non-binary? They just aren't. Like, a Bollywood producer, I'm not condoning it. A Bollywood producer will come out and say, I need a face that sells. And then what do you say to that? Do we have a response to that? No, we don't. So it's a question and answer that we ultimately don't have. And until and unless there is a conversation that leads to visibility, that leads to more people, and it will start not from cinema, it will start from OTT platforms where visibility will start there because the risk is less.
For me, I'm just like, it's easy to see when someone thinks of us as business, and I just don't engage with it. I really don't. Especially, I'm not being a sarpus, but I felt that during Shubh Mangal Saab, because we all figured out Ayushmann Khurrana's formula, right? He's got this formulaic idea. Every movie, hey, this is a problem in society, whether it's baldness, erections, sperm count, whatever. And then there's an entire movie about it. And the moral of the story is, hey, it's not a bad thing to be bald, or it's not a bad thing to be a fat woman.
Is that such a bad thing? Is that such a bad thing?
It's not.
As opposed to Rohit Shetty films, which are Islamophobic out and out. That's my issue. That, we choose and I'm not saying that you choose an enemy. I think that we, as a community, and I'm speaking for the queer community, we end up choosing an enemy that's actually on the borders of being sort of an ally. And I'm not saying we need that ally. I'm saying that there is someone who can be made into a better ally with conversations.
Yeah.
But we say, fuck you, you tried and you failed, now you cannot come. And then basically then there is just this like cesspool of shit out there, which is homophobic. Yeah, please just jump in. Please just jump in.
So there's also a reason why you need to understand, and maybe I'm wrong here. There's a lot of history of hatred that the community has faced. let's understand that. And they're very sensitive about it. So
yeah, of course.
And when people who don't understand, so in a few months back, we did a campaign where we spoke to 4 individuals from the community. And when I started a conversation with them, I had to start a conversation with them saying that, listen, if I say something insensitive during the conversation, please put it down to lack of awareness and not intent.
Yeah.
Right? Now, my reason of doing those conversations was exactly what you are saying, that put out what their real challenges are when they go out looking for employment in an organization. What are the policies that they face which are not inclusive? I wanted to put that out as an HR consultant so that organizations could see it. But I myself might not be fully aware. So I first wanted to know, what are your pronouns? What do I call you as? Right? Now, they can be sensitive, and if you hurt their feelings, they can be, just as non-inclusive as the rest of the society has been towards.
Absolutely.
So they have the same feelings that we have. They've been hurt. Think of a child who, I was reading somewhere today that as children, a lot of parents still believe that it is a mental illness and might go for therapy and so on and so forth. And I think every child deserves a childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And coming back to Farhad's point and your point that faces sell, I don't know if you've seen this movie, Ek Ladki Ko Dekha To Aisa Laga.
Yeah.
Nowhere does it say that it is about lesbians. You start the movie thinking it will be a romantic movie, and it turns out to be a romantic movie about 2 lesbians. And what would you say about that movie?
Yeah, but the film didn't do well.
Now tell me, do you think Sonam Kapoor's face doesn't sell? Or
no, so here's the thing. I mean, Sonam Kapoor is different from a trans actor.
Longest first segment ever.
Yeah. So I think let's come back to it. I think we have a great theme for today, which is awareness and intent. We'll come back to it as we get into the main conversation.
And just go watch Fire, which I think came out in 96.
Okay, I mean, let's...
And there's one with Paresh Rawal as well. Paresh Rawal and Pooja Bhatt.
I know what you're talking about. Tamanna.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get back to the heat of the conversation in a moment.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. In the kickoff episode of Think Fast, our hosts Varun Dugirala and Suchita Salwan give you their hot takes on all things trending. Whether it's the Paytm IPO fallout, Taylor Swift's re-releases, or the latest season of Shark Tank India, do check it out. On Misconduct, Raghavi and Nisha take us through the story of Santokh bin Jadeja, aka the godmother of Porbandar. At her peak in the 80s and 90s, her gang had over 500 registered criminal cases. Are social networks just content moderating platforms, or are they true blue publishers? Dive deeper into this debate with Siddharth on Smarter with Sid. On Marathi Kirkitun, Dr. Rajiv and Manik Deshmukh talk about differently abled people who emerged as achievers. And speaking of Varun Dugirala, this week on Advertising is Dead, he is joined by content creator and gamer Myth Path. They discuss his journey as a creator and the experience that came from it. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, do remember that many of our shows are available on YouTube. You can check that out by going to our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, where we have a list of all of our various YouTube channels. Finally, we'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Mutual Fund, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
All right, we are back in the pit of the conversation. We have Sonika from Marching Sheep. First and foremost, before we restart our conversation, why don't you introduce yourself? Why don't you talk about what you do? Why don't you talk about what Marching Sheep does? And what's the dream? What's the dream for this initiative that you have, which is really, really amazing in today's day and age? So yeah, please go on.
Thank you, Sunitro. So I started Marching Sheep in the year 2013. I have been an HR professional now for almost 2 decades, an Excel pass out. So working in the HR space with companies like Pepsi, Vodafone, ICI Paints, was heading HR for Philips Consumer Lifestyle in 2012. And then I took a break for a year and thought, what do I really want to do? And that was when I had my second child, and that was a daughter. And that was also when Nirbhaya happened. And a lot of things happened. And I said that, there's a lot of work which needs to be done in the space of diversity and inclusion and women's safety, particularly with the focus on women in this country. And that is how Marching Sheep was born, with an intent to make a difference to people's lives and careers and respect and equality for all.
Sorry, why Marching Sheep? What's this idea behind the name?
With the right processes, you can make sheep march.
Amazing.
So I always felt that if you look at things topically and address issues topically, you will never get anywhere. But if you address the issue from the root cause onwards, you will make progress, even if it is slow. So that is why what Sonetro was saying from a point of view of creating awareness makes a lot of sense to us. And even now, it's been 8 years, a large part of our work is around creating awareness. So we write a lot of articles, we do a lot of panel discussions, we do a lot of campaigns around creating awareness about the real lived lives and experiences of LGBTQ community or people with disability and so on. So while Marching Sheep started with an intent to drive women participation in the workforce, over the last 8 years, the entire landscape on DEI has evolved. In 2018, same gender consensual sex was decriminalized. And then in 2019, the Transgender Act came into being. And in 2016, the RPWD Act came into place, which recognized 21 disabilities. So the generations evolved. Generation Z joined the workforce. And now with COVID, there is this entire space of some people working from home, some people working from office. So the entire space changed. And it was all about how do you create a place where everybody feels valued, everybody feels seen. I can bring my authentic self to work without any fear. I can speak up without any fear. And, the corporate world can be very judgmental. It can be very transactional. It can be very...
You don't say.
And somewhere, people have changed. The second wave particularly have made people realize the fragility of life. Yeah. So an average person would say that I was working 9 to 9. मैं कुत्तों की तरह काम कर रहा था. And एक दिन मैं मर जाऊंगा. क्या बचेगा? I have not spent time with my family. I have not...
That's why so many people are quitting. There's so many people who have quit.
And, they are saying that what are the organizations that stood by their employees?
Yeah.
And what has struck with people is that it was strangers who were helping people with ICU beds, with oxygen, with food, and not their own organizations.
Yeah.
There were organizations who stopped work during the month of May, saying that business nahi hoga, dhanda nahi hoga, koi baat nahi, let's take care of our people. And then there were organizations who were saying that I still want to see that number happening.
Yeah.
Right. So from that perspective, the perspective with which people are looking at organizations has changed. Their expectations from employers has changed. So there's a lot happening there. And we work with organizations on giving that security and making everybody feel included, irrespective of age, gender, sexual orientation, gender expression, physical ability, what have you.
Got it. Right? That's amazing. So, that's amazing.
And you work with multiple organizations or just...
Yes, we work with multiple organizations in India and globally.
Got it. Sweet. Got it. That's amazing. Coming back to our conversation, and I think that we kind of set the thematic tone and tenor for today, which is awareness and intent when it comes to visibility, diversity. And so one of the first things that hits me out of this entire, especially, both of us being queer, I identify as queer. I'm using queer as an adage, but both of us, Farad and me, we being queer individuals, one of the biggest issues we as a community face in the work sphere is identification. First and foremost, I come from the advertising sector. You would think the advertising sector would have flourishing queer people. No. I am in India, I am one of the 2 leaders in the entire WPP system, in the advertising system. That is insane. Insane. And the reality is, I know a lot of people who don't want to come out and say, I'm queer. Now, when you don't say that, how do you even get started as an organization, as an outfit that wants to help a community? How do you, and I'm sure you face this everywhere.
Yes.
So how do you even get started when you don't even know who you are helping?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, let's understand, organizations are but a subunit of the society. Okay. Our employees come from the very society in which we live. And in this society, homophobia exists.
Yeah.
Phobia exists, right?
Absolutely.
So when I go to office, if I am homophobic or transphobic, I am not leaving that phobia back home. I am getting it to
Absolutely.
work,
Absolutely.
Right?
Understood that. Yeah.
Now, organizations have a role to play. If I am spending 8, 10, 12 hours at work, if my organization establishes a work environment where everyone is respected, I will.
So here's the thing. The issue comes in. So when all these things about respect and making sure there are, anti-discrimination clauses and laws, those exist now, especially in corporate spheres. So overtly, there's no overt out and about bullying that's happening. It's happening.
And more and often, even if it's there, it's just for show sometimes. I feel like, I don't want to say this because sometimes I feel like someone from my office might hear it. But I recently went through something which was, someone made some comments about my sexuality at work. And I came to hear from someone else, and it was a very it was just, I did not know how to process it, because also I'm 38, so I've been through my fair share of trying to educate, or I've had my share of homophobia, I've had my share of it. But I couldn't help but question the structure in which I have the means. If I want to go to HR, but the way everybody is in cahoots in old school corporate environment, sometimes it just feels like, and this is not something I felt on this job alone, in my previous jobs also, sure, there'll be a special team for sexual harassment, you'll have these special teams, but sometimes it's just because you have to somewhere on paper show that as a company you are caught up and you have these kind of nuts and bolts in place, it's implemented, but I don't think it really trickles down to actual change on a work level.
That is where the difference lies.
No, so let me complete my thought. What I was coming to is that obviously it doesn't, and I obviously speak for very few organizations and spheres where this overt bullying and homophobia maybe is not happening. But the issue is, and this is where the big gap lies, a lot of exclusion happens in a very covert way. This whole boys club, the straight boys club, which women are excluded out of, which queer men, I have faced that throughout my career, not being invited to the table, which is why I am so innately, linked to female mentors. You don't have a fix for that. How do you fix that? Because you can't prove it. 5 people go into a room. Can I say, oh, why did they not? I can't complain about that. So these are things that you can't really pinpoint, and it's not a big event. It's not. So how do you get in? How do you tackle issues like this?
Absolutely. And you're bang on, both of you. So there are 2, again, sides to it. One is on paper and one is in spirit. Most organizations are excellent in doing the paperwork. So we have sexual harassment prevention policy for LGBTQ, which is like, we have a parallel ICC or parallel IC. We have anti-discrimination policy. We have a whistleblower policy. HR is there. We have a diversity council. We have an ERG. Everything is there. But an employee experiences an organization through their peers and through their managers. Not through HR, not through an ERG, not through the policy paper. The sensitization happens when awareness goes into the hands, feet, hearts, and minds of these people.
So how do you make sure that happens? How do you make sure? It's not about how do you make sure that it has happened? not is happening, has happened.
Yes, that is where investment is required. That is where every person in the organization needs to understand what it means to be an LGBTQ person. You are no different from me. What is normal for you might be different normal for me, na?
Yeah.
Right? Who defines normal? Who defines straight? If किसने बोला straight?
How does that level of sensitization happen?
That sensitization can happen through awareness sessions. There are toolkits which can be made. Managers can be coached on how to create inclusive team environments. If a manager is seeing that in his or her or their team, 5 people are not including Sunetro, he can make it a point that he makes it very clear. He, she, they make it very clear that all 6 of you have to go out together. I'll give you 2 examples, okay? If there is a family day, and
like
on
an
a
office.
family day, in an office, there's a family day, and everybody is supposed to get their +1. HR tells somebody, please don't get your +1 because family members of straight people might get offended. So आपने hire तो कर लिया LGBT community को, but आपने actually accept नहीं किया है, तो क्या फायदा?
No, so that's what I'm saying, that, a large part of the struggle, of course, a large part of India obviously faces these issues. But I'm also speaking from my very privileged existence at this point of time and experience at this point of time where I lead a team. I have the privilege of hiring exactly people. Like today, I had a chat with my HR, colleagues, and I said, there are 2 creative leads that I'm going to hire. And I said that I've gotten 9 resumes. Out of them, I've only had 1 woman. That's not good enough for me. I need to have equal representation. So I have a way of doing that to get diversity into the system. Where I don't have control over is right down to the bones, right down to the organization system, where it's not the organization doing bare minimum because the organizations are doing the bare minimum. I myself don't know what to ask for as a queer individual. For example, we were having chats about what kind of policy changes we need to bring about for our organization. I was flummoxed because my first thing was, okay, anti-harassment, anti-discrimination, and those are in place. Then I figured, okay, then I had to dig deeper. And then I had to have conversations with people who are not living in, by themselves and paying their own rent and live by themselves. There are people who live with their families, have the burden of their families. I have a burden of my family. Then there were things that came out. Now, where do you get answers when people are not ready to talk? How do you even start? That's the issue. There's a chicken and an egg syndrome where
I guess you just start.
So you start, but then nothing's happening.
Don't look for an ideal starting point. Don't look for an ideal starting point, Sunetro and Farhad. Address whatever comes your way. Okay. So first and foremost, think about it. If you as a leader are saying that I want more diverse resumes, what if your HR drives this? Say that every leader in the organization should be forced to ask for diverse resumes. Only then can we build a diverse workforce.
Now it's great to get diversity when it comes to gender because that's apparent in India. How do you get diversity when it comes to sexuality? Because in India, you cannot ask that question. Abroad, you can.
We discussed this before. This happened to me on this current job where when I was in the interviewing process, they happened to bring on, oh, we love your podcast. And I was like, thanks. And they were like, oh, we also, one of the reasons, did not say we are hiring you, but they kind of hinted that, oh, we also want you because you are different. And me on this end. So I want to combine Sunetra's question with, I'm on this side where that happened to me, where someone blatantly told me that, yeah, sure, we are building a more diverse culture. That's how you want to. And I was kind of offended by that.
Yeah,
I was
but
kind of
I
offended
think
by that.
my POV on that is I don't think they should have said that to you. It's like giving bheek. Like, you know what, you got in on a quota. Like, that's just so not
I know,
cool.
I know.
But
have
it's
you
good
gotten
that
a quota, or have you gotten because you
I'm
deserve?
good at my fucking job.
no, of course. I'm saying,
You know,
yeah.
End of the day, when you enter an organization, the last thing that anybody wants is to be told that you're a diversity candidate.
No,
Yes, yes.
Women have been hearing for the longest time.
It's the worst. Now here's the thing. Yeah. Now take that and really put the barrier of identifiers. If I don't, like, how does one go about making sure there is diversity of queer people? How do you even get started?
I have one solution.
Please.
I don't know if it's a solution.
Please let me know.
Sorry, go ahead, Farhad.
I noticed this. Make your job postings in more queer-friendly places. I feel
that's literally the only thing that has worked for me.
Because
literally the only thing.
I literally have that answer right now. I've not think about this question before.
Like,
but a lot of times, even today, I'm thinking of buying a new phone. Yeah. So I've been like, should I OnePlus? Should I Vivo? Should I this? Should I that? And I actually looked up Vivo stores near me. Yeah, on Google. And it showed me the closest one. And one of the tags I saw on Google, it said LGBTQ friendly. The Vivo store near my house is LGBTQ friendly. Like literally a pride flag. And that little icon itself there, not that I was like, wow,
no, but it feels good.
But
yeah,
it just
feels good.
Oh, a Chinese mobile company near my house is like LGBTQ friendly. It made me feel very odd, but nice, like that it was mentioned there. So I feel.
But how would you go about it as an HR professional, bringing about diversity?
Yes. So
this kind of diversity, like queer diversity.
Worked with a client and they wanted to get started. And they said that even before we hire, we want to first create an infrastructure and an atmosphere inside the organization.
I get that. Yeah.
So they worked on the policies and they started sensitizing their managers and employees that when we hire people, so first was creating an EVP. All their job descriptions were made gender neutral. All their policies were made gender neutral. So for example, even inclusion of saying gender reassessment surgery was covered, for example. Or if there was therapy, the counseling which happens before the therapy was covered.
Yeah.
Right?
That's,
Yeah. So if there was a need for, let's say, for PWDs, if there was a caretaker and one had to go on a business trip, then caretaker travel was covered. So that's amazing because policies are a great way to attract people. And then you make your website and your careers page.
Yeah.
You build your EVP or employee value proposition. Communicate that. You make your search partners talk about that this company is welcoming and is open. And then everybody in the leadership has to be committed. So in your company, Sunetro, it has to be everybody talking the same language from the CEO to everybody in the leadership team and downward saying that we are committed. Because I repeat that employees experience the organization through the managers and the peers. How I feel when I interact with you, when I come to work.
Yeah, like one of the things I had spoken about was, insurance everywhere across organizations is a scam. It covers nothing. Like it literally will cover only your death. Like literally you have to die to get any money out of that insurance.
Even maternity for that matter, it is, the kind of hospitals that people like, you and I, I would go and get my delivery done or my cesarean. It barely covers the cost.
It doesn't. And which is why one of the things I told was if there's someone who's HIV positive, their treatment should be covered, should be included in that. And that's it's not a queer only issue, but it is a queer it is big within the queer community. Similarly, gender reassessment and stuff like that is important for the insurance claims to cover. Otherwise, what are we like? You don't cover dental, you don't cover eyesight problems. Literally, I have to have a fucking accident and lose my limbs in order to get any money out of that insurance claim. That's just, it doesn't work that way. So then what is that money that's faithfully going out of my salary on a system? What is that worth for me? So that was one of those, and I get your point. Like policies will attract people.
And manager and leader sensitization.
Yeah.
These two have to go hand in hand. And the third one is, see, why do people from the LGBTQ community fear coming out? They fear coming out for fear of judgment, right? Nobody wants to be constantly judged. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder and thinking, koi mujh pe has to nahi raha sare time.
I came out, I've introspected about this a lot. I live my life probably as openly because I don't have an option. I present as slightly more, flamboyant as an individual. You can't miss the fact that I'm queer. If I weren't, I don't think I belong to a generation where I would be happy passing as straight. If I could pass as straight,
yeah, bro.
So sometimes I think we should get rid of these words, straight. Just like this term, recently LinkedIn came up with
maybe use breeders.
Oh my God. No, totally.
Maybe use the word breeders instead. Sorry, I'm just...
Why? Because these add to the stereotyping. Who says people, men who sleep with women are straight? Or women who sleep with men are straight? What makes you non-straight?
I am this is if I start between Farhad and me, there will be like a huge thing. This whole thing of straight and not straight. It'll become
I get
episodes.
where Sonic is coming from. Even,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm tired of like, Shunaid, you've been saying it a lot lately, which is you started saying queer. Right?
Yeah,
you started saying
I've
queer.
always identified as
because
queer.
Even for me, I started realizing, okay, I'm bisexual, but I started saying I'm gay because it's convenient, because I don't have to sit and explain 10 questions. Every time I say I'm bi, there are suddenly 10 questions I get, and I just want to live my life and not answer those 10 questions. So even I started wondering, it's easier to say gay, but then I'm now tired of saying I'm gay even because I don't feel...
Yeah. Why? Whose problem is it कि तुम क्या हो? क्या फर्क पड़ता है किसी को किसी की जिंदगी में? क्यों 10 सवाल पूछेगा कोई?
Abhi, that happens when you have a podcast and a lot of these.
No, I see the question. The reason why these words, why we are talking about these things is so that we talk this to a point where we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Exactly.
That's the point where we out visibilize ourselves to the point that there is no need for more visibility anymore.
And I know what Sonika was trying to say, like, why do these labels even exist, right? But these are a part of us. Like, these words have helped us kind of understand who we are or navigate through life growing up, right?
And control people.
And
control people.
Yeah, exactly. Like it kind of gave
the reason.
So no one control as in I feel like.
So why is so? What is better, straight or bent? Straight is better, right? What is better, right or left? Right is better. All these words were created to create this world of the good and the bad, the right and the wrong. The right made the word and pointed it to themselves and said, you are the outlier and we will call you the opposite, which is why queer as a term, queer means different. It means strange. As a term is something I'm very close to because I feel like I want to, in my own way, own that pejorative, own that slang. Because yes, I'm different. Yes, I'm weird. And what are you going to do about it? That's my fucking identity today. So what are you going to do about it? Whereas,
something Sonika you said a while ago that really stuck with me and made me feel, not that that was your risk, but when you said that sometimes you need to sit like an organization down and say that, okay, we are going to be having more diverse people, so we need to train you. When you said that, I immediately felt like that would make me feel so awkward. I'll tell you why. Because all I want is for my 10 hours, 12 hours a day, I want to come, do my work, perform, and leave. I don't want any sort of...
it is still a people,
Of course, I'm not saying that, don't have these workshops or sensitization sessions.
No, in the sense that there are things both of us would not know how to react to. We are privileged that we know how to react to the queer community, but there will be...
No, it made me feel weird that, these people need to be taught what is normal. I just want to be treated normally. You know what I mean? And that made me feel so like, wow, that happens in organizations.
But I might not know what is normal.
So I'll give you an example. There are 21 disabilities, okay? So for example, I didn't know what it meant to be a co-worker or a manager of a person with dyslexia. Okay?
Yeah.
So I needed to be made aware of that.
I would need to. I have no idea.
All the time.
It's about an organization which wants to hire people with disability. Managers need to be made aware that what are the accommodations that a person with disability would need, how to be sensitive towards him, that person.
Yeah.
And accommodation does not mean charity. So if I'm a person with disability, I might be doing a full day's work with full commitment, contributing to my 100%, but I might have a software installed in my laptop, which might, because I'm blind, it might help me read or hear. Or I might have special keyboard.
Yeah.
Right? But it does not mean charity. And it might mean special ways of communicating with me or emailing or whatever. So that sensitization is required. And if you look at it, and there are so many different kinds of diversity. It is not just sexuality and gender.
Of course, yeah.
And it's not even an organizational thing. I'll give you an example. So many times I've got it in our DMs. I don't know if you got it too, Shunetra. Can you all do an episode on disabilities and LGBTQ people?
And we haven't done it because we are not qualified. Yeah.
No, I don't know how to ask. Leave alone qualified. I want to have guests. Let's say I want to have... But how do I say the sentence, hey, I need specially able, differently abled, what more softer term?
Intersectionality.
Sorry, what?
It's called intersectionality.
No, so intersectionality goes into a very broad spectrum. Like if I want
to...
if I'm looking for...
A woman who is physically disabled.
No, I know what intersectionality is. But when you're specifically looking for someone who is disabled, how do you...
Let's say I want to do an episode next week where I want 3 people with disabilities to be... Again, I don't know if disabilities is still a proper
differentially,
word
I know differentially able.
So
people with disabilities don't like to be called differently abled.
Okay.
Well, like that's what. Like I know PWD is a legit term today. So
sorry, what's the term?
PWD, people with disabilities.
Okay. If I want PWD people on my panel, how do I even ask that?
Maybe using that. Maybe using that.
But okay, see, that's because we are having this conversation, right? But this came in my DMs maybe 50 episodes ago. But I just did not know even how to ask that because, again, it's like a walking on eggshells. You don't know if you're being... I want to talk about it. I want to understand what someone else's perspective, point of view, life is living with those kind... Because here we are sitting able-bodied or whatever. Yeah. And I can't help but constantly question if we go through all the issues that we go through in our dating apps and hookup culture and everything and relationships, and we all are fractured in some way. How are disabled people going through that? And just to understand that, but it's taken forever just because of this one question. Hey, dude.
How do I?
Yeah,
how do I address the community?
And the same awareness, the same question some people might have about the LGBTQ community.
I agree. I agree, which is why I always come from a point of let's have that conversation, give people the benefit of doubt. And I know people will come at me for this, because sometimes I take a very centrist point of view on that. I'm not militant when it comes to this. But I do believe that in order for people to understand, you have to start the conversation somewhere. We had a guest a couple of episodes ago where he's non-binary, and he spoke about an experience where there was a shopkeeper who kept misgendering him. And he was irate about it. And I tried.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I said,
that was a conversation.
Yeah. And my point of view was, let's for a second forget about the fact that this person is misgendering you. Does this person have the toolkit to understand what gender is, what misgendering is? Maybe they don't even know.
Yeah.
And they were, the guest, they were impassioned, and they had their reasons to be impassioned. But of course, that's where constant conversations are important. And sometimes you will not get through to people because it takes lots of conversations. It's taken years of having conversations with my dad to even get him to, and he still doesn't know what pronouns are, but to get him to understand what the queer community, how queer community as a concept can be thriving. A queer individual can thrive in a place even like India. It's taken years for him to think that, oh my God, this is not a dangerous path that someone is going to go down. So unless you have that conversation, share your experience, share your POV, how will we move ahead? How?
Yeah. So I believe conversations are very important. I think having real lived conversations where people like you can put forward your point of view. And, sometimes also I think coming from a parent's point of view, when I was reading this article today where the dad wrote that letter about that kid going up to the playground wearing that dress, he was very thankful to the other dad because saying that, you showed sensitivity to my kid. But he said that I know that my son will have betrayal and heartbreak because he will at some time realize that his dreams will be trampled upon.
Yeah.
Right? So I can understand that for parents, it can be, particularly in India. See, out of 195 countries, there are only 30 countries across the globe which have given LGBTQ protection.
Yeah.
Right? So that in itself speaks
volumes.
Acceptance है. So जब तक conversation नहीं होगा, जब तक we will not increase awareness, जब तक we will not tell them that it is as normal as anybody else. We can thrive, we contribute, we are educated, we can do everything that you guys can. I can also have a full relationship. There is nothing wrong. I think it just requires constant, it's like a woodpecker, on a tree.
Thanks, Ayushmann Khurrana.
No, but that is what is needed.
So here's the thing. Now coming back to the conversation we were having, and you were talking about Sonam Kapoor, okay? So I just want to say, the film, I watched the film. It's not a terrible film. And at the same time, I do feel that even that film was important for it to happen. What is not important to happen is, remember there was this film called Girlfriend with Isha Kopikar, where that kind of shit. That is what I am not okay with. Where it's buffoonery, it's just a stupid portrayal.
Yeah,
I do believe that this is the trade-off. This is the trade-off that film industries across the world have had to go through and will go through. In order to make something mainstream, you have to let it go mainstream. Drag, for example, did not go mainstream till RuPaul's Drag Race made it mainstream. And there are people who have their issues with how, I don't know whether you watch RuPaul's Drag Race. It's basically, drag as an art form is...
I know drag.
Has been a very cult, very niche, very on the rebellious thing to do, and it only is now mainstream because RuPaul's Drag Race has turned it into a reality, not even a competition show, it's a reality show. People take issue with that because drag is a lot more than that. And what ends up happening is people identify drag as just RuPaul's Drag Race, that thing where you're showing fashion, you're polished in terms of your looks, and that's the same thing when it comes to the queer community. The issue is when I think that with us, we are impassioned about what we are seeing on screen, even when it comes to mainstream, is that what I'm seeing there does not reflect my reality.
Honestly,
From an objective point of view, when I step back, I feel like these steps are still needed, still required. I'm not talking about misgendered portrayals. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pure just portrayal of homosexuality. Let someone in the backwoods of, Jhumri Tilaiya watch a film and say, oh, so do ladke aisa ho sakta hai. Acha, question that. Aisa ho sakta hai, maybe. And I want that. And I don't think a fire will go there. I don't think my brother Nikhil will go there. But a Shubh Mangal Savdhan will go there. And
अभी वो भी तो आया था ना एक series that I'm very bad with names.
Made in Heaven.
Made in Heaven.
Yeah, but Made in Heaven is such a niche show where it's English. It's only catering to the upper class. I'm not saying rich people, but I'm saying there's an English speaking audience in India, which is like the 10%. It caters to that, not more than that.
That middle-aged man, the landlord.
Yeah. I love
that.
Those are things that are so important, where even within this 10%, to say that, being gay, to be gay, you don't have to be this, a millennial or a Gen Z. You could be someone who's had some years.
Secretly bugging your tenant's room and jerking off to watching him have sex with other men.
Those are some realities which hit you hard.
Honestly, I thought Made in Heaven was whatever, but I loved that little inclusion in there. Where not only as a story, but I just felt like I thoroughly enjoyed that little part where I was more vested in that part of the story than the other stuff. In fact, this whole HR, sexuality, I don't know. Do both of you watch Office?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, are you talking about
there's
Oscar?
There's an entire episode where you have an obnoxious boss who accidentally blurts out to everyone else that one of the employees might be gay, and what the HR stand is in that. And I thought that is such a great episode because sure, it's all done, but it's at no point offensive at all. You get all three perspectives of the gay person who immediately is violated because someone else outed them. You have the insensitive boss who has no idea how to keep his gob shut and he ended up saying something that he shouldn't have. And then you have the HR point of view trying to train the boss into like, hey, you know what? You can't say shit like this. Like, it was such an important episode. And I felt, in a 20-minute episode, so much is done. Like, so much is achieved. And sometimes, we are talking about ek ladki ko dekha na. I'm just so done with, because again, and I don't want to sound like too la-di-da, but like, me and Sinead, at least we love cinema. And sometimes it's becoming more and more apparent to me that I watch something as a fan of cinema more than what my sexuality is and how it's represented. Sometimes I just see if something is good or not. Something, and I feel like, Fantastic Woman, Shunetra, like I had never seen, when I saw representation, the way it was shown in A Fantastic Woman, I was like blown away just by the story and how trans woman was represented in that film. And
cinema is also, but here's the thing, cinema is also representation. It's an expression of a particular culture. It will speak to...
No, but what I was trying to segue into was our OG conversation is where I'm done expending energy with these Bollywood people trying, not everyone, I'm not blanket this, but making these feeble attempts. Even tomorrow, if this movie, I don't even know the name of this movie that's coming up, this Ayushmann Khurrana movie, which everybody is up in arms about. But even if it's good or bad or whatever it is, I just want to see how well it's done, how well it's made, and if the story, because if it's a human story, it clicks. Which I did not feel, honestly, during Shubh Mangal. I did not. I get it. I get the whole everything. Sorry,
no, but it's not made for you. That's the thing. It's not made for you. It's made for
then I'm at a point
someone
in time
in tier
where
2 cities. That's the difference.
No, yaar, abhi aisa kaisa? Schindler's List is not made for me, but it's the best. You know what I mean? It's not made
No. Okay,
it's not
I
directed to
can
me,
give you
but
an
it's
entire
such a beautiful...
No, one second. No, 1 second. Schindler's List. Are you really comparing Schindler's List with this? First and foremost, you're talking about that? Really?
With Shubh Mangal, Sada Saudan, or Chandigarh Kare Aashiki. No, I'm not comparing. I'm trying to...
I mean, think about the number of So a good queer movie is something like, let's say, an Aligarh, okay? But think of the number of yeah. But do you know the number of theaters it went to? A fraction.
Okay.
That is filmmaking is a business at the end of the day.
I'm tired of that. Okay, that's an entirely different conversation. I feel we are tapering towards the end of our podcast, but that is a different conversation. If I had to bottom line, what I was trying to get at is, I live in a time where if a human story is presented in any way, okay, if it's a good human story, if it is depicted well, if the certain sensibility, which we've seen time and again from the beginning of cinema, I feel if it is presented well and business automatically happens, everything, it just
business doesn't automatically happen, Farhad. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're getting
I mean
show
the
business wrong completely. You've gotten show business wrong completely. I'm sorry.
No. Well, again, maybe I said that the wrong way. What I meant was it goes beyond.
When was the okay? Give me an example of the first Hollywood. No. Forget about that. Let's talk America. What was the first American rom-com with a queer lead that has done over $100 million? Give me the first example. There is none.
To my mind was Philadelphia.
None.
Rom-com, I don't remember, but
there is no rom-com.
Brokeback Mountain did quite well.
That's a drama. That's the thing.
The object of my affection. The object of my affection.
Do you know how much money it made? It was a flop. And that's the point. Brokeback Mountain. So
it was a flop.
Yes. Not Brokeback. No. Object of my affection. Brokeback Mountain happened in 2005. 2005 in Hollywood. Can you imagine how long it took Hollywood? Now compare that to India.
No.
Let's be cognizant of who we are catering
like many of our conversations and debates, I'm telling you, you are entirely right in your own way. But I feel what I'm trying to say is, as long as art has this business angle to it, you will find these glaring disparities that we keep seeing with, trying to represent us and speak for us and do something.
Of course.
You know?
I particularly feel कि हो सकता है वो botchy attempts कर रहे हैं.
I'm saying, see, in the end, they have to pander. Today, if an Ayushmann Khurrana is wearing nail paint and showing up on it, he knows that gets clout. He knows that's the larger conversation out there. He's just trying to be a part of the narrative. And again, which I totally get, it all culminates into eventually the movie.
Yeah, I get it.
This. I'm just saying that.
I know, you can't help but feel cheated. You can't help but feel used.
अच्छी picture तो. अच्छी पिक्चर निकली तो.
Very good. Nail polish का color अच्छा था. I don't know.
Suppose it's a good movie. अभी तो निकली भी नहीं है.
That's the thing. I don't have any qualms. If a movie is good, see, first of all, I'll tell you, and which is why I'm just bringing back to this particular movie conversation about this movie. Chandigarh Kare Aashiki, I believe is the name, is what our producer pinged us while we were talking. But what I meant was that, okay, how do you go?
Just click the chat window.
My thing was, I constantly kept reading. It's Ayushmann Khurrana, who's trying to be a queer ally, is a part of a transphobic film. Okay. I first of all started questioning myself because in the end, my head repeatedly kept throwing up, but the movie's not out yet. What if the movie is good? And I kept trying to understand. Look, nobody's seen the movie. Okay.
No, but people have seen the trailer.
From what I understand, the furor is, a guy finds out that this girl is
is trans.
But if again, talking about the formula of Ayushmann Khurrana, where a guy saw this as a problem, but then he came around eventually. Now, how well that is done it all rests on that. It all rests on that, because I don't think it's a horrible that it doesn't happen. I actually personally, and I'm not trying to drag a personal story into it, but I do know someone who actually fell for a trans woman who was like a homophobe, but he eventually fell for a trans woman, and they were a couple. They broke up eventually, but it did happen. It did happen, and I saw, and the person in question who transphobe, unfortunately, is one of my childhood friends, and it was next level for me to get into this also, because he was my friend just because we grew up in the same vicinity. I kind of got him. I kind of understood him. But then I started coming to terms with my sexuality. So I was like, oh my God, this guy cannot fall for a trans woman because he's such a problematic person. But then I saw him in love, and I was so confused by the whole thing. I saw this at arm's length, and I was like, okay, what is happening here? So coming back to this movie thing, what if the movie is good? I don't know. I don't know. If it's good, it's good. But I'm just saying, yeah, I don't like to be a part of the clout that is. You know.
So what if I say, let's not judge the book by its cover? Movie aane do, phir dekhiye.
And then, no, I get that. I completely get that. And by the way,
that's also easier said than done. Can I tell you something? Very recently, I was in a meeting, okay, where someone said this whole Shah Rukh Khan son thing was going on. Yeah. And we were going to do a campaign with him. Okay. And suddenly the conversation was a little, oh, wait, he's hot in the news right now, so we should do it. It wasn't like, oh my God, no, we can't right now, because, this is becoming a common thing where it is becoming a part of strategy. When, again, I'm talking about where it is becoming a part of strategy that bad reviews are
reviews like bad publicity.
Not bad publicity, but if you notice, every week there's something trends. Your Fab India trends, your this trends, your that trends, something. And I have reached that level of cynicism where I question, because I am a social media manager and the kind of things I hear in meetings, sometimes I start questioning, was this an intentional thing? Was this done intentionally so you trend the next day? I can't help but question that.
I know what you mean.
I'm not just being a blind cynic. I'm literally saying this based on my interpretation of the world.
I honestly will be a little selfish in this. And I would say that whatever will get awareness going.
So here's...
If it reaches the masses, sorry, Sunetra, to cut you, but if it reaches the masses, if it is a good film,
but that's in movies like Lakshmi sneak in. You know what I mean? That's in movies like the fucking Your Girlfriend or Isha Kopekar movie. They all fucking sneak into with.
By the way, I don't stand for this Chandigarh Kare Ashiki thing at all. What I stand for is Shubh Mangal Savdhan. Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan, particularly because I can speak for being someone who is in love with a man. I can't speak for the trans experience. It's not my thing. I do not have the right to talk about that. But having said that, the only thing we can do is wait and watch and see. But it's also important to keep caution alive. It's just because, like you said, we haven't been treated very well in the media. If we haven't,
not just the media,
it's good to keep
society,
everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's good to keep our, our sixth sense rolling.
And you are absolutely right. And a lot of times, again, for me, it sounds big ballsy to say this because I don't have a solution, right? But sometimes lately, every time we have some sort of a reaction to something that is problematic, I can't help but notice if what our reaction is misplaced. You know, if it's directed in the right way, which again, I cannot take his name during this, but a big part of Dave Chappelle's special was, if your reaction is misplaced, then what? What if you are angry about the wrong things? And he doesn't say that about, he says that about the Me Too movement and how things are handled after. That's a very big conversation later. But when, again, I saw this reaction towards Ayushmann Khurrana, the last 2 days it's been that, right? All our feeds have been Ayushmann Khurrana, gender fluid. I'm like, dude, as long as, which is these sweeping statements we went through, which is Bollywood is a business. In the end, they have to pander. They try. I'm like, yeah, I have zero space for these things. I'm not going to give them my attention. I'll watch the movie maybe because it's rare to come by a decent film in Bollywood. And I know Ayushmann Khurrana has snuck into that little, chalo thoda paisa hoga type, if the movie. But when it comes close to a problem that, not that I am directly close to, but my community faces in any way, I want to see at least that, hey, how is it? What is it? And then I will take my...
How has it been treated?
Then I will take my test. But until then, if you are like going to spend all your steam on this kind of, nail polish equal to transphobic film, I'm like, is it misplaced?
The issue is they don't talk to the community. This is like Sia's music. I don't know whether any of you guys have seen it. It's about the experiences of an autistic child. And it's so infuriating because it's just made it into a musical. It's pretty and, so unless and until people tell stories coming from a point of real lived experiences, we are not going to go anywhere. And that's where intent and awareness is really, really important.
Sonika, do you have any parting thoughts? Naito, we'll go into another Bollywood scene. Any parting thoughts? What do you think should happen, should not happen? Anything?
I think we just need a lot of tolerance. I think we should respect each other as human beings. I think that is important. It just doesn't matter what your sexuality is, what your gender expression is. And I think we should try and learn about each other. I think there is so much more that defines us than our gender, our sexual orientation, our disability, and so much. If I just spend time, I mean, I had so much fun with you guys. How does it matter ke kaun straight hai, kaun queer hai, kaun kya hai? I had so much fun. I mean,
that's because you are open to the experience. And I'll say one thing. One of my best friends, he has a sticker on his car since years. He's had this car for like 20 years now, and those two words really, it just says teach tolerance. What you just said, the sticker says teach tolerance. And sure, you have your love is equal and love is love. And, you have all your slogans that, which all very right slogans. But something about teach tolerance really cuts through the entire, because I feel that's where the root of the problem is, where even right now, if you say you had fun talking to us and all of that, it's only because you're tolerant enough. You have no judgment screen or something with which you've come to talk to us or what it's going to be like. You just have come to have a conversation, and it's been like Bollywood and HR policies and everything. It's been a mishmash. You know what I mean? But through normalcy, right? Again, knowing that we are actually here to have a conversation, not discuss our sexualities or anything. But yeah, sometimes I just wish people taught tolerance more than anything. Like,
yeah.
Amazing.
And thank you so much for having me here.
We have a third section.
We have a third quick section. We'll get right back to it.
Thank us yet.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood.
Get accustomed to womanhood.
Enjoy the experience of sisterhood.
Might get to wifehood.
Or not. Choose motherhood.
Or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
Earn a livelihood.
Change the neighborhood.
And get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Ritasha.
And me, Ayushi.
On a journey from station starting point.
To station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station. And hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.
And we've come to the last segment of today, which is all about recommendations. So Sonika, let's start with you, our special guest. Do you have a recommendation for people? What is it?
I believe that, inclusion starts with each one of us. I think we have to start practicing inclusion. And I recently read this book by Sarah Tebet. She is the global diversity head of Schneider. And she has written this book called Inclusion Starts With You.
Okay.
And it's a brilliant book, very simple.
So you in question being the community or?
No, with
everyone.
With everyone. Like it's an individual responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah. And very, very simple and beautiful book. I loved it. It just talks about how it's not a workplace thing, how we can bring in small changes in our daily life and just be inclusive. So
Amazing.
I think
Nice.
Sorry,
Beautiful. Amazing.
What's the name again?
Inclusion starts with you.
it starts with you.
By
Amazing.
Sarah Tibbet.
Yeah, it talks about culture of inclusion to all diversities.
Amazing. All right, guys, read that. Farhad, what's your recommendation?
I'm so happy towards the end of the year. I might have watched a show that might be my favorite show of the year, and I watched so much it this year. But I think I found my favorite show of the year. It's called Back to Life, BBC. It's by BBC. It's Back to Life. It's about a woman who spent 18 years in jail for a crime she very well committed. But she's free now, and she comes back to a small town, and she's trying to acclimatize into regular life. Fantastic. It was one of the best things I've seen this year. I don't remember sobbing as much as I did watching something this year, but sobbing is the wrong this because it's hilarious, it's sad, it's beautiful. Back to Life, BBC. Like everything else, suddenly I saw so many things this year, but somehow while watching Back to Life, sometimes when you see something and you're constantly like, is this as amazing as I think it is? Back to Life did that every 2 minutes for me. It was just so good. 12 episodes, 20 minutes each. I went through 2 seasons in maybe from morning to evening. I was done. Outstanding show. Back to Life.
Amazing.
Do it, Sumitra.
I actually, I had one recommendation. I'm going to quickly give that. And I actually ended up having 2 recommendations. But the one recommendation I want to start with is it's Oscar season. So I'm watching all the Oscar films. And the one film that has trumped all other films, but will not get as much velocity of appreciation out there is this film called Flea. It's an animated film about this guy who, it's a documentary, which is crafted in an animation style. It's about this guy who, before his wedding, decides to tell his story to his close friends and other people of how he fled Afghanistan as a gay man.
Yeah.
I haven't felt this searing intensity of emotion from an animated film since Waltz with Bashir.
Amazing.
And it's that level. So watch it. I do think it's going to get Oscar nominations for Best Animated
Streaming?
Film.
No streaming.
No.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
But
Sorry,
the other film,
again?
Flea, Flee.
Got it.
The other film I'll quickly recommend, and it's on Netflix. It's this film called Tangerine, because we are talking about trans representation.
Yeah.
It's a film that's been shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most beautiful representations of 2 trans individuals played by trans individuals. Fantastic performances, fantastic story, screenplay. It's just a day in the life of 2 trans prostitutes. And basically it's got funny bits where this person's cheating on that and has been kicked out, and how they track the person that, their ex is now dating and they want to rough them up and stuff like that. It's funny, heartbreaking, and it's up to me, it's a landmark in terms of representation and pushing the needle forward. So Flea and
Tangerine.
Flea, Tangerine, when I saw it, I had, wow, I can make a movie with my phone. That's the first thing
I know.
When you watch it, you can't believe it. And this is like 4 years ago, I think.
4 years ago.
It was the same year as Moonlight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. It was.
I couldn't help but constantly feel like, kya color correction kiya hai?
Beautiful.
Like,
Beautiful.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you so much, Sonika. We've had a fantastic time. So charged, so revitalized after this conversation. Thank you for being with us. And we hope to do this very soon with you. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I didn't bore you guys, because
not at all.
Only a little. Very little.
Only a little. Thank you.
Oh my God. No, shut up. Thanks for coming on. Really.
Thank you.
We need this. Sometimes we are so frivolous, me and Sumitra, and sometimes I can't help but think that we talk so much about ourselves that only when we have guests, I feel like Wow,
We
there are
go
other
beyond.
things to talk about other than my.
Yeah.
And this whole episode, I was like, I did not talk about the first degree burn I suffered this.
Now you did. Now you did.
How are you doing now?
Sorry, what?
How are you doing now?
Let's not go there. Oh my God. I will next week though. I won't leave this. I have to talk about myself. A part of this podcast is me. Okay. But no, really. Thanks, Anika. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week. We'll be there for you next week with a new episode. And Farhad, I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Shanita.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Vaisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM Podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday. सिर्फ IVM Podcast app या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.